Hi, I'm Amber, and welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. Today we have Hadi with us, and he's going to share his story and his journey with a meat-based diet. Hi, Hadi.
Hello, thanks for having me. So I initially, started off my whole life I was heavy. Didn't know anything about diets. I just thought that's who the person I am. That's who I've been my whole life. It became to where my health was really going downhill very fast. A lot of times when it's something for us, we drag our feet. I didn't jump right away to make a doctor's appointment. I knew I wasn't feeling very well. I just wasn't doing the right steps to take accountability for myself. My ex-wife at the time, she noticed, I'd wake up very frequent at night, about 4 or 5 times in an hour to use the bathroom. My bed sheets would be soaked in sweat, the next morning. I didn't have a doctor at the time. She went behind my back and did the best thing anybody could do for me, was find me a doctor and fill out the new paperwork, to be seen. So I did the blood tests and everything, and not a surprise that everything inside me was honestly failing. I've lived my whole life eating just what I thought what I needed to eat. That was just my comfort. So, while I was in the doctor's chair after my results came in, after doing the blood test, he's telling me I'm diabetic. Everything pretty much was failing inside of me. And instantly somebody, being this heavy in weight, you're going to the doctors initially, first time he's meeting you and he's looking at the charts saying, man, you're dying. He's going to put you on all kinds of prescriptions. In my mind, I was failing my daughter at the time. I was like, man, I'm not going to see her going to the first grade. All I thought about was this guy just told me I'm dying, basically. I sat in my car. Again, all this diet stuff was new to me. I didn't know any diets. I didn't know there was a carnivore diet, keto diet, none of that. I thought diets was eating salads all the time. I sat in my car and I'm like, man, I don't want to be dependent on these medications for the rest of my life either. I went to the nearest supplement shop. I walked in and I told the gentleman behind the counter, I said, look, I'm not looking for a magic pill. I'm not looking to buy anything. I just want to know what you're eating because you're obviously healthy and maintaining that. I can't eat salads for the rest of my life. So he explained the bodybuilding diet. To me, that was brand new. I don't even know. I thought maybe, okay, this is what everybody does, where you weigh out your foods and stuff like that. In my mind, it wouldn't work for me. I'm not instantly, I put it off. I tried it. I went and bought a scale. I was measuring all my foods like he said, but in my mind, it wasn't realistic to me. I'm no bodybuilder. I'm just a guy with a family that just wants to live their life and see my daughter grow up. So basically, I was so confused, weighing all my food. I'm like, okay, well, I can't ever take my family out to eat because I don't know what it would weigh. So that was the complicated part of this diet. And don't get me wrong, the results are phenomenal on some of these guys that go up on stage, but that just doesn't fit my lifestyle like theirs. I was sitting on my couch, just so lost at the time, and I came across a documentary from Chris Bell that he made, Bigger, Stronger, Faster. I was a big wrestling fan, and I saw Hulkamania on the cover. Of course, I was interested. I didn't even know what this documentary was about, honestly. I just thought it was about wrestling, maybe. So one thing that tied me into that movie, because, you look at these guys, they're power lifters, and then you look at my old pictures, you're like, what would tie you with these guys? You're so overweight. These guys are just power lifters. Well, Mark Bell, his brother, had a learning disability just like I did. So I connected with that right away because that was kind of the opening part to introduce Mark Bell. So I looked these guys up on the internet, their YouTube videos, their Instagram, and all I saw was these guys are just eating meat, and they're shredded and very strong. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing weighing all this food? And all these guys are saying, just eat meat, and you could get this way. So I gave it a shot. At this time in my life, I was lost. I had a handful of prescriptions, and I just didn't know where to go. So I had to tell my family, I'm like, okay, listen, I want to change my diet up. All I want to do is eat meat, and I want to not take these prescriptions still, because I never turned any of them in. So at this point, everybody's freaking out in my life, of course, because, you know, I'm 1 foot in the hole, and then basically I'm saying I'm not doing anything anybody's telling me. I just want to do it my way. So, you know, months started going by, and you could see the weight flying off of me. I'm starting to look, you know, healthier and gain more energy. And all I did was just lose the carbs, something I didn't really need, for at least for myself. You know, fast forward to all that, I ended up losing 191 pounds in 1 whole year. 1 whole year, 191 pounds, just focusing on my diet. Exactly what I ate was red meat. I would make crock pot meat. I would make ground beef. I would make burger patties. And I'd add in eggs, you know, just to mix it up with my meals. That was it. I didn't step into the to the gym, not 1 foot one time that whole year. All I did was focus on my diet. You know, everything was so new to me. I wouldn't have even known what to do at the gym. You know, I'm watching these guys, and yeah, they're power lifters, but it's not something I could replicate at a 24-hour fitness that I belong to. I mean, I could try, but there's no way I could move them out that much weight by myself like these guys are. So, yeah, I lost 191 pounds in 1 whole year. So I went back to my checkup to my doctor, because now at this point he wants to do my blood work. He didn't even recognize me at first. And all it was in between time is he thinks I'm taking these prescriptions, and he would fill them for me, and I just pick up the paperwork and not turn it in. So I go back to the final checkup, and he thinks there's something wrong with my blood test because everything is normal at this point. So I go back to redo the test, you know, and go back 2 weeks later, and he's blown away. You know, my answer to him was, here's the prescriptions you gave me. I literally gave him an envelope of everything that he prescribed me throughout that whole year. And I said, all I did was change my diet, you know, and he was so blown away to find out that I went meat-based, something that, you know, they tell everybody to stay away from, something that we grew up learning, that you got to stay away from red meat. You can't eat it all the time because your health will go bad. You know, in my experience, that's what actually made my health go back on track, is eating the red meat and putting everything aside. And so that's where my diet really zoned in, is just when I lost everything else, you know, as far as putting into my body and just focusing on what I really needed to get me by for the day. And what was really working for me was honestly eating, you know, crock pot and ground beef and eggs. That's what really got me back on track. So
that is completely amazing.
thank you.
190 pounds in a year. Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness.
All I did was just eat what I thought was working for me, and which it was. And what that did to me, you know, and I'm not telling anybody, if you're on prescriptions, don't take them. I took that chance myself because I was already in the hole and I wasn't taking prescriptions. I just wanted to see, okay, can I better my health with just trying to fix my diet? And you know what? It honestly worked for me. And I'm happy I took that gamble and said, you know what? Let me not listen to what everybody's been trying to tell me, and see if it actually works for myself. And you know what? It worked for me, at least.
I love that. I love your story. Love
Thank you.
it. And I think your message is diet should be one of the first things you do. Not that
That's
you're
it.
dissing a doctor, not that you're saying
No.
do not take medications or get off of them,
Right.
but hey, let's fix the diet and see what happens.
Exactly.
Then if
That's
you
it.
need something, okay, sure, fine, take your prescriptions
Absolutely.
or whatever. But I love your story. I think it's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm stubborn. And so I did that. I'm not saying anybody else do that, but I get it, because when they would tell me, oh, you need to go do this, or, you know, take this medication. Yeah, not happening.
Yeah.
So
No,
but that was me being stubborn.
But that's me myself, you know, because I'm stubborn myself. I allowed myself to get so unhealthy and made all these excuses. And now it became to where everybody was telling me, no, you can't do that anymore. And I wanted to just say, you know what? I've never lived with anybody telling me what I should do. Let me just see if I could figure it out. And in my case, it worked. So I'm happy with the results that came out
Yeah.
of it.
You look amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
I just have to say, you look very built, very strong.
Thank you.
You were not like this prior to,
No.
you lost your weight, you got your health in track. Then you started, I'm assuming, back in the gym or doing something
Yes.
to get the way you look now, because you look fantastic.
Oh,
I'm
thank
like,
you.
and nobody's going to tell you what to do for sure. No way.
So the best part about this story, you know, I followed Mark and Chris, right? I discovered this documentary. Well, you know, at the time, at the worst time in my life, you know, I thought it was the worst time in my life, me thinking I'm going in the hole at that point. Well, we learned my dad was diagnosed with cancer, so he was going through a bunch of treatment. But I knew Chris also created a documentary called The Leaf of Faith, where they sold a kratom product called Mind Bullet. And, you know, they advertise it helps with pain management and stuff like that. Well, when somebody's going through a bunch of treatments, my dad had no energy. So I took a gamble at that point, and I said, you know what? They're locally in Sacramento where I live. I've always wanted to meet these guys, but I just didn't know how. So I emailed Chris, and I just had some questions. I told him what was going on with my father. Chris has 1 million followers. I didn't think he was going to message me back. Not even 5 minutes, he emailed me. I jumped up, ran in, and showed my ex-wife. I was like, hey, Chris Bell just messaged me back. So long story short, he says, hey, come down to the gym. I'll give you some samples. You can try them for your father. I was blown away. Like, this guy actually said, this guy I've been following for so long said, hey, come here and take these samples. So I went to meet him at the gym, and I became selfish. I had to tell him, hey, man, it's not so much now I'm picking up these samples. I want you to know you changed my life by just following you. So I showed him a before and after, and he was blown away. So, you know, fast forward to, you know, them seeing my transformation. They wanted to see, you know, if I wanted to start training at the gym. Mind you, I didn't know about anything. Powerlifting wasn't something I ever thought I would be doing. These guys took me in with open arms. I was a stranger to them, and they trained me, you know, and had me learn what to do. And they signed me up for my first powerlift meet, and I was able to accomplish that with them watching me. You know, now on this journey, I'm signed up to do my second powerlift meet. So you never know where you're going to start off, because there's honestly, whatever finish line goal that you have for yourself, okay, I just want to lose all this weight. Well, you don't know that, because when you get there, there's a new goal that's going to come up. I never in my life thought I was going to be a power lifter, but I'm already on my second power lift meet, you know, ready to compete. It's just, you know, we all take those steps to just begin some type of journey, but overall, that journey is never going to end. It's going to take you on a different adventure somehow, because that goal line, you'll reach it and say, well, I'm not ready just to say I'm the guy that only lost all that weight. I need to do something better for myself. So that story, man, it honestly, it's unreal to me, and I'm living it, because these are guys I used to watch on TV and look at my phone all the time and say, wow, look what they're doing. And now I train side by side next to them at their facility. So that's an unreal experience still for me, and I'm living it.
I can totally understand that. I've seen some pictures of you training with the guys, and
Yeah,
I know a little bit about Mark. I'm not as familiar with Chris, but the message is our community is amazing. And the thing is,
absolutely.
I think when you get rid of all the inflammation and the crazy and all of that, you get in this mode where you're happy and you want everybody else to feel the way you do. So you go out of
Absolutely.
your way to help others because you want everybody to feel like you.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think that is one thing we can say about our community, if nothing else. And I know sometimes you hear some negative stuff, but
Absolutely.
I have, you know, for the most part, what I see and I feel and happens to me is very positive. So I
Yes.
love that story. I think that is
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so you mentioned a little bit about what you ate. when you first started and all.
Yes.
Can you just run down like a typical day for you? And I'm really curious on the
Sure.
amount you eat, because to maintain all of, you know, what you got going on.
Absolutely. So the thing is, we're also programmed, you know, the first meal of the day is the most important meal of the day. I don't think so. I don't need to get up and eat breakfast right away to make sure my day's going. Realistically, I get up at 3:30 in the morning. So I'm not ready to eat breakfast. That's what time I start work. I get up for work at 3:30 in the morning. There's nobody in this household that's up at 3:30 in the morning but me. So I'm not sitting here to eat breakfast. I'm not waking up saying I have to eat. Now, go back a couple of years and heavy me would have been, I cannot leave the house. I got to rummage through this fridge because I need that energy. Well, I wake up, I don't honestly eat until later on in the day. That's my first meal of the day. And I have all that energy from 3:30 in the morning to get by a heavy work day. I unload trucks all day at work. So I can honestly tell you what I'm eating right now is getting me by to unload trucks for 8 hours a day and go to super training and power lift for another, 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours a day. So my eating schedule is like, my first meal is around noonish. And what I normally eat is about, 8 to 10 ounces of steak, just roughly. It's a pretty good size. And if I'm adding in eggs, it's about 3 to 4 eggs in there with some fats. So if I get a leaner cut meat, I throw in extra butter on top of that just to get the fats in there. I only honestly do 2 pretty good sized portion meals. So after training, I'm eating another meal, and that's roughly about the same amount, or I'm adding more eggs on top of it if I don't have enough meat for that day. So 2 large portions is what gets me by a day, and that's what I need to maintain where I'm at, on the scale and health mentally as well. Anything past that, I'm just overdoing it for myself. A lot of people ask me, how do you know your correct portions? Well, nobody in the world knows your correct portions. Even somebody you're paying thousands of dollars to tell you what to eat and stay healthy, they don't know. They're guessing off what worked for them. You got to honestly go by your body. Your body will tell you, hey, man, you're full. Stop eating at this point. You get to a comfort with your body that says, at this point, if I eat this next bite, I'm overeating and I'm feeling it. You just kind of learn your portions, just going off of what, if you're overeating for that day, you'll know. In the beginning, I thought I needed to eat, 4 times a day because I was so big. I really didn't, because I felt like I was forcing myself to eat. So when I narrowed it down to those 2 pretty good sized portions, I was solid at that time. So
that is amazing to me.
Thank you.
I feel like I expected you to be eating like, I don't know, like 4,000 calories worth of, nutrient dense meat. So that is shocking. I think that goes to show how nutritious meat is. And if you eat the right kinds of meat, not that you can't have variety, but
you eat the correct portions for yourself and you're putting in that work at the gym, everything else does its own thing. You just got to show up. That's it. Show up, make the meal, and go train. No, don't make any excuses why you couldn't get to that, why you need something else to help you build them up. You don't. In all reality, you just got to eat right and put in the work, and everything else fills itself out. I never in my life thought people would be shocked when they looked at me and I told them, hey, I used to weigh over 400 pounds, because nobody that meets me now can understand that unless I show them that picture of mine. They all tell me, you don't look like you have excess skin, but I do. In all reality, I do. I've worked so hard to try to, maintain that and fill it in with some type of muscle that's just what it took. It took time after time, and eating the correct stuff, because a lot of times if we overeat, somebody for myself that's been so heavy their whole life, everything wants to go to my stomach before it goes anywhere else, even though I'm eating what I need to eat. But if I'm overeating, it has nowhere else to go but to my stomach and start regaining the weight again. So that's why you got to figure out your portions on your own. Don't let anybody else tell you that's what I eat and it gets me there. Well, great. You guys might weigh the same, but your body functions a lot different inside, and it burns it off a lot different than what it burns off for him. So just figure out what works for you.
I love that message, and that's one that I promote highly because we
Yeah,
are all so individual, and I think it's ridiculous to think that one plan will work for every single person,
absolutely.
including the diet. There's going to be
Absolutely.
variations, and so your message is spot on, in my
Thank you.
opinion,
Thank
anyway.
you.
Okay, so you've talked a little bit about what has improved for you. Could you expand on that a little bit more, and
Absolutely.
tell us how we, yes, the weight loss is important, of course, and the, difference in your body now, muscular wise and stuff, is amazing. But
Thank you.
what else has improved? I mean, besides just the aesthetics, what else has improved?
So I've always looked at myself, from a younger age, just because, I was so quiet and timid my whole life. I didn't know how to break out of that comfort zone. I always looked at myself, I was the fat guy, and that was what I always going to be. And then, not being at the same learning capability of everybody else in school. So I was kind of held back so that definitely didn't build my confidence up either, growing up in school that way. So the weight and being held back like that, that's basically the world stacking against you at an early age, saying, hey, you're just not going to be as good as everybody else. Well, after I lost all the weight, I gained so much confidence in myself that, hey, I'm not any different than anybody else. Somebody just threw a label on me, and I was forced to believe that at a younger age. Now I absolutely can say I got more energy than anybody that's been in the best shape of their life, their whole life. I bet you I could keep up with them. I know that for a fact. A lot of these guys that have been doing this a lot longer than me and been healthier than me, I know for a fact that I could keep up with them. They're no different than I am. I have just as much energy as they have, and all I'm doing is eating meat-based pretty much the whole time. Everything that people tell me about the diet, hey, you got to incorporate carbs to get stronger, you got to incorporate carbs to have energy to keep up with everybody, you're powerlifting, you need to do this. I'm on my second powerlift meet, and I haven't incorporated 1 ounce of carbs this whole time, and I've had that much energy, and I've fluctuated my weight to where I need it to be for my weight class, and I just keep getting stronger, training the way I do, just eating meat-based and eggs. Yeah, I can honestly say that my life has changed for the better, to where I've gained all this mental health, to just kind of just sum it up, where my mental health, I'm not so negative on myself anymore, which everything made me second guess. Even like, for example, something as silly as going into the store and buying a shirt at like a Target or something, that made me feel so confident now. Like, hey, I don't have to wait to drive out of my way to shop at one store. Now I'm normal, just like everybody else. So that's where I feel that I'm right there with everybody else. Nobody could tell me different, and I could keep up with just about anybody. So if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. And you would be surprised, after all these interviews that I do about success stories, that is a very common theme.
Yeah.
And you don't really think about that, because you think about, the muscle building, the health, like certain diseases and stuff that
Sure.
kind of improve. But that part is huge. And it happened to me. So I get it. I
Yeah.
went from no confidence, and yes, losing weight and the aesthetics makes you more confident. Yes.
Sure.
But there's a difference, absolute difference. And
Absolutely.
so I totally get you. Okay, as a MeatRx member, I'm really curious what you see as being the benefits. What has made a difference for you, or you feel is very helpful, that you see on the platform?
Just the community. That's the number one thing. You honestly, as silly as this sounds, being on the internet, right? You have your own family at home you see every day. It's like you build a family that you've never honestly met in real life across the world. And everybody has some type of success story similar to yours, you know, where you can't go anywhere else and find the same community and support. You know, if you're feeling down about something, hey, there's somebody else that's already crossed that in their life, and this is what they did to kind of help themselves out of it. You know, not all the situations are going to be the same, but they're going to be similar. And you won't find any type of support in the community anywhere else, even if you're paying for it, like this community right here.
I could not agree more. And thank you so much. It has been a
Yeah.
pleasure talking with you. And I love your journey.
Oh,
It is
thank
so
you.
amazing. Just amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This was great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye, Heidi. You have a
Bye.
wonderful day.
You as well.